is up, everybody? It's Friday, May 20th. I'm very excited because on the 404 show today, for the first time in a very long time, longer than I'm willing to admit,
yes, very
Jill Schlesinger back on the program.
Yay! Welcome.
Yay, it's Jill who totally forgot about us.
No.
Because she
No.
She's too big for us.
She's too big.
We had something scheduled, and like some schmucky producer's like, oh, we have to do this interview for Evening News, and then I had to ditch you. That's what happened last
Evening.
time.
Oh, it was a midday interview for
So
Evening.
Russ,
Yeah.
you got that?
I got it.
Now you know where you stand in the totem pole.
Well, the question is
of
which network.
Schlesinger
Let me just tell you
priorities.
this. Let me
Now,
say this
if it
about
was
that.
a broadcast situation,
It's a broadcast situation, but
Okay,
here's the
so-
problem. I love doing this. You know, this is like among many of my favorite things.
This is like a therapeutic rite of passage.
It's just fun, and I love hanging out with you guys.
Likewise.
But then you have work.
Sure.
This is fun.
Right.
Yeah.
That's work.
Sometimes work just gets in the way of fun.
Horrible.
It's the worst.
Now, also remember the beginning of the year, the stock market was in free fall, so I
Yes.
was very busy.
Mhm.
Then it got better.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some other stuff.
Are you busy when it's doing well?
No.
Really?
No.
No one
No one
cares.
gives a crap.
Yeah, no one wants to know why
Nobody
it's
cares.
doing well.
Everyone's like, oh, yay, it's doing well. Like, I
Right.
am in this sweet spot right now where I'm not working that hard.
Sure.
Because all the idiots are doing is talking about politics.
Right.
And so, I mean, I did like a couple of segments like, oh, let's talk about Bernie Sanders and Trump's trade policies,
Yeah.
which are ridiculous. We'll talk about that separately.
Okay.
But I'm really in this great place where I'm not killing myself,
Yeah.
but I have been doing tons of fun things.
Like what?
Well, I reached the pinnacle of my career.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
And it is not this show. It's close, but
Oh.
it's I was
Another knock.
check this out. I
Beating
was
us up, dude.
wait a second. Wait, when I tell you this, I went to London.
Okay.
I interviewed Dame Julie Andrews
Whoa.
Whoa.
in front of a live audience of like 500 people.
What?
We might have to put that picture up on the on
the
the
site.
404 website.
This is crazy.
Me, my sister, and Julie Andrews. It was beyond. I literally got done with the interview, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I thought to myself, "This is it. Like it's all downhill from here."
I'm
This would be like
never-
it would be like you being like, "You know what? I hung out with Martin Brodeur for
a weekend.
yeah, pretty
we
much
hung out and had sleepovers talking about old
everything
times gone by.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying that it was like I'm a huge Broadway show fan.
Of course.
I started the interview and I was like, you know, well, we have a lot in common. You know, you started the role of Eliza Doolittle on Broadway in My Fair Lady, and I played Doolittle in the Camp Point of Pines version.
She's like, oh, I've heard of that. You guys did a
Very
great
well
it
known.
was awesome. 65 minutes. It went by
Wow.
like in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was beyond. It was so awesome.
So what was it? What was it
was like,
centered around?
Well, there was this financial company that wanted to do something just like this totally boondoggle nice thing,
Sure.
which is like, let's take our very best people
Okay.
and go to London. And somebody wrangled Julie Andrews for an interview. And I know some people at the company that are high up, and they're like, let's get Jill to interview
Yeah.
her. So they call me up, and they're like, we know it's not a financial interview. We don't know if you'd be into it. It's Julie Andrews. And I said, shut the front door. I'll pay you to do it.
Yeah. How do I get there? Yeah.
It was she was unbelievable. She was so gracious. By the way, for everyone listening, if you don't know who Julie Andrews is, I'm very sorry. Because I figure that now I just realized that a 22-year-old boy might not know that. But remember Mary Poppins? They all watch Disney
Of course,
movies.
they
I gotta
know. They know
imagine.
that.
They know Sound of Music.
Yes.
They know Mary Poppins.
I
Sure.
think maybe once they hear that, then they're
Yeah.
checked
Right?
in.
You
And
got
then,
it?
go to Wikipedia.
Exactly.
You'll learn why she's important.
Unbelievable. Huge star. Gracious.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Just happy to be there.
So and you know what? She's 81. I can talk to friends of mine and we all lose our trains of thought.
Right.
And
Yeah.
81, she's telling stories from 50 years ago.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like how you just hit the genetic lottery, right? Is that how that works?
I think so.
Yeah,
I do.
I gotta
Because
imagine.
honestly, she was so on.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think that it's really pretty impressive.
It's amazing.
And she was terrific. And, sorry. So let me just give you a little inside.
You're kind of
baseball.
fangirling out here a little bit. It's
Beyond.
great. I love it.
Beyond. I mean, again, I'm such a huge Broadway show fiend that, her career is both obviously theater and film.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
And I went into like such theater geekdom that in the middle of my interview, I turned to the audience and I'm like, hang on for 5 minutes while I become a theater geek. And I turned back to her and I like asked like this esoteric question, like, how do you feel? Like, what's the difference between singing a Rodgers and Hammerstein score and a Sondheim score?
Sure.
And she went like deep dive into Sondheim. I'm a huge Sondheim fan. We come back and then we talk about, she says to me, what's your favorite Sondheim show? Like she's interviewing me in the middle of the whole thing.
She was engaged. Yeah.
It was amazing. And then she said, well, you know, she says, my favorite Sondheim show is Sweeney Todd. And I said, oh, mine is Company. And then she goes, but you know what? And she's like literally talking to me.
Yeah.
And she says, you know, my favorite song, like the song that I hear, either if I sing it or hear anyone else sing it, and it brings tears to my eyes. And I literally interrupt her and I said, is the last song in the first act in Sunday in the Park with George. And she goes, yes, exactly. And high fives me.
Wow.
In the middle of the interview.
You must have been floating.
When I picture Julie Andrews, I do not picture high fives.
Yeah.
High
Like
five.
not a thing that I would
She
picture her
high-fived
doing.
me.
That's amazing.
Is this available to watch?
No.
Oh,
Private event.
man.
Not even audio?
No.
You got to release the transcripts of this
tried.
event.
I was like, and so we finished the thing, and she turned, and her manager was like so protective and intense.
Sure.
I don't know. Like
That's
we don't know
managers,
from
though.
we don't know
That's
Hollywood
typical.
people,
Julie
right?
Andrews. It's not
Exactly,
like-
big shot, right?
Yeah.
And she turns to him. We come off the stage, and she goes, "What happens now?" He goes, "We're going to go into the dressing room. You get a bite, and then you got to take 200 pictures with all
Oh,
these
yeah.
attendees."
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay.
And he turns and he goes, and Jill and her sister are the first photos because they got to catch a plane.
right.
She takes me by the arm. We're walking out, and she says, "Why don't you come to the dressing room and have some tea with us?" Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess so.
No problem.
Like 20 minutes, I hang out with
Wow.
her. You know what was so great about it? She says to me, "So how did you get into this financial stuff?"
Yeah.
And starts asking me questions about myself.
Yeah.
That's you. Did you? It's like
I'm
you
s-
dreamed this.
It's beyond unbelievable.
That's
I'm
awesome.
so happy that you got to do this. It's so
It was
rad.
so great.
That is very,
I'm,
very
I'm
cool.
still on my Julie Andrews side. So my sister. So by the way, you know, I'm negotiating with these guys for money to, you know, do this whole deal.
Okay.
And they're at the low end of my range. I'm like, well, give me an extra ticket. And I brought my sister with
Right.
me,
Yeah.
which was also phenomenal. You have a brother or sister?
I have a brother, yeah.
You have a brother, and
Yeah.
you have a brother. Well, sisters, I don't know. We just like we're very close.
Sure.
She is as into anything Broadway musical as I am.
Right.
When I called her up and said, "You're coming with me to London," she was shrieking, and we realized we had not been away alone together in 30 years.
That makes sense. Yeah.
and,
I
you
mean,
know, life,
Right.
families,
It happens,
spouses,
yeah.
we had the best time.
That's
oh, that's
great.
great.
Oh,
That's really
okay.
great.
So
That's so rad.
it's amazing.
yeah.
It's totally amazing. So that was great.
That's it. Now it's
And,
all downhill.
Probably.
yeah.
It's,
I'll
over.
tell you what I
over
did.
for you,
And you know
Jill.
what? Yeah, exactly. I'm done. The other thing that I did this week, which was fun, was I moderated a panel, an LGBT panel at Deutsche Bank. And I got to interview the only out royalty in the world.
Oh, really?
And this guy is the Crown Prince of India.
So it's a gay prince?
It's a gay prince.
Wow.
And he was so lovely. And he was being honored at the UN for this thing that he had done. So I went to the UN for the first time ever on
It's
Monday
the
night.
only royalty in the world
That's out.
that's out.
That's
yeah.
right.
Duh.
Odds
Yeah,
would
yeah.
say.
No, it's
So-
definitively
so
not the only.
On my panel was this huge private equity guy named Paul Singer,
Yeah.
who is like a gazillionaire,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Then there was a guy who's the head of the Export-Import Bank and the Crown Prince. So I turned to these guys. We're about to go on the stage. I said, you know, I've always wondered what happens when 3 Jews and a gay prince walk into a German bank. And I get we're about to find out.
And no one even wrote that for you. That's
No, I
awesome.
wrote it
That's
myself.
good.
That's
right on-
rad.
Well
That's
done.
very funny.
So I've just been doing a lot, you know, so I do work stuff, but I do
Sure.
stuff outside, been fun.
That's
Totally
awesome.
fun.
That's
What and you know what's like you
super
who was
duper.
you remember when you interviewed Danny DeVito the first
Sure.
time and it was just like such a high and a kick and
It was. There was a lot
right?
going on there. Yeah.
and it's this moment where you're trying to be professional and remember what you're doing and then after you reflect and like, oh my God, I just
Right.
Danny DeVito is on my show. How cool is that?
It's a lot of planning that never shows its face. It's,
Right.
It's planning for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
you're just
yeah.
like, when it's time, you're just there,
just like
and it
60
has to
miles
happen.
per hour.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And it's got to happen, and it happens, and it goes by quick, and that's it.
You know, though, I was so happy to have prepped, which involved reading, her autobiography, 25, autobiographies, unauthorized biographies written about her, as well as reading every single one of the children's books that she's written.
Oh, really?
You want to hear something wild?
Yeah.
When she was it was in the late 90s, she was like 60 years old. She had an operation that was supposed to remove like some of the scar tissue around her throat. It was a botched surgery. She could never sing again.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine that?
Oh my God.
Could you imagine being the doctor who screwed up Julie Andrews' voice?
Yeah. Be like, your invaluable instrument?
Yeah.
I destroyed
Oh, yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the manager's like, do not bring up the botched surgery. You can't talk about it. She can't talk about the settlement.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I said,
yeah.
no problem. I'm not bringing it up. 3/4 of the way through the interview, she's like, I'm asking about the book. She goes, well, I had this surgery and they botched it.
Oh,
She says it, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't say it.
yeah.
No, that's
If
fine.
she brought up that's a
Fair game.
So she probably had all kinds of crazy insurance on that. right?
Yeah. But you know what?
But I,
mean,
feel
she
like
was
You're
gonna be-
Julie Andrews.
Right. She was going to be financially fine no matter
Of
what.
course,
But what do
like,
you
it's
think
like
that's worth? What do you think that would be worth?
$100 million?
See, so it was 90s, so it,
Yeah.
use today's dollars. I understand, and it's all rumored. Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah.
It was supposedly 20 million pounds, so let's make that,
That's
40
the
40
settlement, you're
million,
saying?
yeah, $40
Yeah.
million dollars
Okay.
in 1999, which seems like a big number, but it is Julie Andrews, the
Right.
national instrument of both Great Britain and the United States.
Yeah.
I wonder because there are. I feel like there are celebrities who have certain items on their person
Sure.
Yeah.
that are insured.
But it is also interesting because it's like someone later on in their career, effectively, you're not valuing it based on what she's done before.
That's
'cause
exactly
obviously
right.
everything's
Yeah,
Done.
right.
So you're saying, okay, between now and when
Like,
she
what-
passes
what's
away,
left?
what is she
Right,
going to make?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So they
Based
probably
on the
said
singing.
15 years at this
Right.
much, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really is unbelievable to
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Just shows you got to plan for anything. You got to have that disability insurance,
Yep.
young man.
Yeah, I do.
You do.
I do.
All right, Russ.
Maybe.
Oh, Russ, we got to do some planning for you.
I'm on my fiance, soon to be wife's insurance at Christie's, and they have very good insurance. So I'm sure that's
Christie's
included.
very nice.
So,
You're impressed, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be more impressed with Sotheby's, but
yeah, that's true. Christie's is the underdog in the auction world.
redheaded
It is. They're trying. They're
Why?
trying
They
hard.
just don't have
They're
their-
the Mets, basically.
They're the.
Oh.
These days, that's okay.
yeah, unless Harvey's pitching.
Right.
Oh my god, I don't want to get into that. So keep it in sports for a second.
Yeah, Islanders.
I was rooting for him.
I know.
was so.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
That series was theirs.
That was theirs. It was like the Pittsburgh series a couple of years ago where they really should have had it, except
Yeah.
that they were such big underdogs
I
on that
think
series.
this was more their
I
series.
agree.
I think Tavares, after he single-handedly won the first round in that amazing game,
Unbelievable.
which I was just like,
we were shrieking. It was
yeah,
crazy.
I'm sure
it
it
was
was
so
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah, they just got a couple bad kind
I
of
think-
bounces. They lost those 2 games in overtime after giving up the lead real late.
I think
and then
that like
it's-
the emotional part of it just blew them away.
Yeah.
And then that's why the last game I just said to Jackie, we're not going to watch this. This is going to be a blowout. I knew it.
Yeah,
I just knew it.
They'll be back. I think they're in a better spot than someone like the Rangers. I think the Rangers are.
I got to tell you a great hockey story.
What's that?
So I have a friend of mine who works at American Express, and she's like, hey, we got the box for the Rangers Islanders game. You want to come?
This was how long ago?
The last game of the season,
Oh, so
April
like early
7th,
April, okay.
right? At the point when she invited me, that was like could have been an important game. It
This
did
is
not
MSG or in
in Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
So meanwhile,
It could have been important.
Could
It
have been,
probably-
it was
yeah,
not.
Yeah.
So Jackie's like, I'm not going because she's freaked out. She will not go into the garden,
Right.
Because she's crazy.
She doesn't want to enter the enemy
Exactly.
territory.
She's like, oh yeah, I really want to walk into the Death Star.
even
With,
if they're
the-
like her
even-
team is playing.
And even if we're in the luxury box. I
yeah,
mean, that's
which
insanity.
does give you like a cone of protection.
Oh, yeah.
I've worn a Devils jersey into the Garden. It is not the best feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
It is not. Yeah, dude, it's intense.
It's not like going to Fenway with a Yankee.
Yeah,
I think
close.
What,
It's
you
pretty
think
close.
I'm gonna say it's worse.
I think it's worse for an Islander. So I brought my jersey. I put it in my
You
bag.
Snuck it in your bag. Okay.
I go through security.
Yeah.
The guard looks at me and he like looks in the bag and he goes, you could wear that here. And I said, why would I tempt fate? And he leans in, he whispers to me and he goes, I'm an Islanders fan. And he goes,
cool.
I live on the island. I'm an Islanders fan. I said, and yet you're whispering.
Yeah,
Right.
You know?
exactly.
So
Exactly. Even the security guard.
yeah. So I go into the luxury box. It's like being in the Four Seasons.
Of course, yeah.
So I put my jersey on.
Right.
Hell yeah.
And you look down at the plebs.
We scored three goals in the second period, and the woman who invited me, she's like, "You out of here?" I'm like, "Yep, let's go. We're
Yeah.
done."
Our work here's done.
Yep, ate as much as I could, drank as much as I can.
Nice.
There you go.
Yep,
Living
That's a
large.
nice-
it's a
nice
rough
night.
season though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, they'll be back. They're fun, and they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
The goaltending's got to get sorted out a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't know what they're going to do with that, but they got.
And we're gonna lose Kyle Oposo, and he's quite good.
Where's he going to go? You think?
I don't know, but I think he's going to go somewhere. I think you know what? I'm so disheartened by sports in general that I think wow, they've got this great this great team, right? But he's going to leave that team just to make more money. Like when you have an opportunity potentially to win a Stanley Cup for the first time in whatever 30 years or 40
More,
years,
yeah.
like I don't know how much more money are you going to make, and you're going to go for some crap team. And,
Is he a rookie? Is
He's
he
like a
early
second line
career? I
guy
don't know
or
where
first
he
line
goes.
guy.
he's now in the first line.
Did he
but
play with Tavares?
Yeah.
See, I don't know if he needs a Tavares to be as good as he is.
I think so. I think that these guys are nuts. They go and they take the money, and then like he blows his knee out. I guess what they're thinking is, well, I got to get as much money as I
This is
can.
it. I mean, I'm sure it's not as bad as it is in football with regards to like how short their careers are
No.
and how risky it is.
No.
But
But in hockey, you do have like a 7 to 8 year sweet spot.
right,
And
sure.
then that's it.
And even then, like, yeah, you can get injured at any moment.
Yeah.
And what are you trained for in life if not hockey professionally? I mean, if you and let's say you're like not a known person. I mean, obviously he seems to be doing okay. I don't know enough about hockey to know any of these people, but I would say like, you've got to think
You got to maximize
the
your
smart
value. Yeah.
thing, the pride thing is, hey, I want to win a Stanley Cup. The smart thing is, where am I going to be in 50
But
years?
how? But like, don't you think there's some intersection of like the potential to actually win and the money? Like, how much more money is he going to make?
Totally.
That's
And there
what
are
I think.
certain teams that, and this is beyond just hockey for people who are like, Jesus, I'm not going to spend a half hour talking about hockey.
No.
This
That would
goes-
be me.
This goes, yeah, seriously. Present
Russ is like,
company
I have no
included.
idea, but let me comment on this.
No, but I think, but it relates to other sports, right? Like there are certain teams that are able to maintain people. I mean, the Devils did it with Brodeur. Like they
Yeah.
basically made him, not make him, but they convinced him to stay with the Devils for his entire career for less money than he would have gotten elsewhere.
Yeah, he wants to be a franchise player. He wants to be
Exactly. So
known as a
there's,
Devil.
I mean, those are anomalies, but
Yeah, they are.
but I would imagine like right, what is the difference between 1.5 and 1.2 or
Right.
whatever it is?
That's like your contract,
right,
basically.
exactly.
It's the same thing
So-
that you're
And-
like,
and you've got an agent in your ear trying to get as much money as
Oh,
possible.
please! These
Of course.
agents are nuts. I
Yeah.
have to say that I don't think they do them. I don't think they often do their clients any good.
Of course not.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's they do themselves good. They're making choices for themselves, and if it helps the client, that's a
That's a
fringe
that's a
benefit.
bonus. Yeah.
What else is going on with you? You got the baby.
Yeah. So yeah,
When's the next one?
it's just not a thing
Year
just
and
yet.
a half.
He's 13 months.
Okay, so that's right. He was born right near the girls.
Right.
My girls.
Exactly. So, yeah, he's 13 months, and right now he's like really great. He's at a perfect time
Yeah.
in his life. He's
Crawling.
crawling. He's
a
standing.
little?
He says "mama," "dada," and up.
He
Like,
says,
up.
"Pass the puck."
Yeah, he says "stick save."
Have him play goalie.
No, that's the worst. You
Why?
never, because the goalie equipment's so expensive.
Oh no! But everyone wants to recruit a goalie. 'cause
Also
It's not.
seems
It's not the
safest.
pride
I
spot.
feel like no one gets hurt as a goalie.
That's true. They don't hit
pull
him.
stuff, but I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, no, because that, not to mention, kids grow so quickly. You got to swap
Get
out.
him a bigger size; he'll grow into it.
No,
Yeah.
you got to swap out the equipment every like 6 months. It feels like, and then you're gonna, goal equipment is like twice the amount of regular equipment. No,
Okay.
thank you.
Duct tape
he'll-
and pillows.
Right.
Maybe he'll just want to, I don't know.
Dance.
Coach.
Maybe he'll be a dancer.
Whatever he
Maybe
wants
be
to do.
a French horn
Look,
player.
I said this before. He'll have every opportunity to try out ice hockey, just as he will with games and whatever else that
Did
he's
Stacy
exposed
play
to.
a sport?
Soccer.
Oh, like
Yeah.
Aunt Jill.
Yeah, soccer
Very
and
nice.
track.
She looks like a track star.
Yeah, she's quick.
Yeah.
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 I was
So you what? You
I
were
was nuts.
not so quick.
You know what happened? It was a terrible thing in my soccer career. I grew 4 inches in one summer,
that-
and I got boobs. I'm like, what are these?
what is happening?
What
That's a tough
happened?
situation.
It was bad.
That's a massive.
It was
change in
crazy.
Someone's
It was
life.
insanity. I was like right wing, killing it, making like fast, speedy girl, and then all of a sudden I slowed down.
Yeah.
These like big girls come on top of me. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, it's called growing up.
That's what
Horrible.
happens.
It's not easy on women.
No, nothing is. What else? What el-
So speaking of women, I wanted to bring up the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
So
I will watch that on a plane. I will not go to the movies, of course.
okay, fair enough. I
Just like specifically for that movie or movies in general?
General.
yeah, I'm at the point now, and we've talked about this, where I either catch a movie on its way out, so
Yeah.
there's no one in the theater.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
Yeah, that's the way to
you
go.
wait. Yeah.
If you're going to go see it.
So I guess if we've talked about this, but what
It
is
just
going?
keeps coming up.
Yeah, like what is going on?
Have you heard about the controversy with this movie?
with
No.
Ghostbusters?
Okay, so let me just bring you
Yeah.
guys up to speed.
I just know Melissa McCarthy's in it, and
She's in it.
there's some controversy about there was, at least the only thing I heard was that the woman from Saturday Night Live,
Kate McKinnon,
No.
no,
Leslie Jones.
Leslie-
yeah, that someone said, oh, you see, everyone else has a PhD, and she's the African American woman doesn't, and she's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I got a job,
okay.
God damn it, whatever.
But the controversy that sort of lasted longer is essentially the first trailer came out. A lot of people were like, well, this isn't funny. And we're like, I'm not going to see it. They were very angry. This
Yeah.
is not Ghostbusters, whatever. And it's sort of morphed into this kind of thing that's like a men's
gender
rights
thing.
activist,
sexist thing?
sexist
Well,
thing.
well, that was so when the movie was first announced that it was going to be a thing. There was this like anti-woman
Right.
fallout.
How shocking.
I know, right? Which
I being a card-carrying woman.
which
And feminist, thank you, proudly.
was like
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
like, whatever.
Why's that got to be a thing? But it is, I guess. And go ahead.
And then so the trailer comes out. There's this reaction to it. Meanwhile, like Paul Feig, who's the director, very funny director. His movies are great.
Yeah.
He did Spy. He did
And he
Bridesmaids.
seems to like women.
And he seems to like women, indeed. So this has sort of just kept evolving with anger and hostility. And the most recent thing, this new another trailer, I guess, just came out, and some guy from a YouTube channel that has like 2 million subscribers was like, "I refuse to see it because
why?
this is not the Ghostbusters movie I wanted.
Oh, shut
I
up.
wanted
exactly.
Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd
Well,
to come back.
good. Well,
dead.
Harold Ramis is dead, so we're
that's
gonna.
not. Well, he mentions that.
But like, what kind of an asshole says that?
Not only that, it's ridiculous to me because it's like the movie where they trot out the old actors is
the
terrible.
worst.
Yeah.
The
You
worst.
don't want that.
It's Indiana Jones 4. Like, you do not want to see that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The reason Star Wars was good, people liked it, is because there was a little bit of the old actors,
Right.
but it was mostly new people.
And yeah, they were cameoed, which I'm sure Bill Murray shows up in this movie.
He might.
I will bet.
I don't know. Bill
I will
Murray
bet money he
is very
shows up.
selective about what he
I know,
does.
but I think he'll show.
Dan Aykroyd I think weighs
Dan
400
Aykroyd.
pounds, by the way.
Yeah,
so
it's
just let's
not-
pull that up.
But
I
like,
mean,
it's not even that. It's like,
who cares?
it's like what
it's
Russ said.
just
Why
look-
is it a
Who
big deal?
cared?
Why are we making this
Because
thing?
I'll tell you why it's a big deal for them is that it ties into this whole thing of like this war that's going on. This war that I honestly believe they've created.
This like culture war.
The culture war of like
Men versus women.
men versus women, and PC versus not, and this whole
Was this like becoming this whole
exhausting-
metaphor for the campaign? Is that what this be really becoming?
I don't know. I think
it was
it's-
before the campaign.
it was
because it ties
definitely-
into the whole Gamergate thing as well.
and it was
Do
definitely.
you know what that is?
Oh, don't even
We're
get
not
that.
going to go into
Okay.
details, but it is. It's
It's
all
ugly.
related
It's
to this
all-
idea of like people feeling like people are too PC and too safe, and then other people feeling like freedom of speech, and then it's
You know what? I have to say, I think freedom of speech is quite overrated. I think there are plenty of people who should not have that freedom.
Yeah.
Before we came on the show, we were watching that George Carlin, that old bit
Yeah.
about there are some people who are just so stupid.
Of course.
And I think this is really stupid.
It's insanely stupid.
And why and that we're talking about it.
Well,
is bad
we're talking about it because
in the realm of what's popular. Right
yeah,
now.
Right.
What's trending.
I just don't.
If you put this in the show notes and tag it with this, we'll get more people downloading
You're
this.
probably right. SEO
maybe, but I think like for me, it's like I would click on this because I want to just make sure that there are sane people out there.
Like, I'm
who
fine.
think the way
I will listen to other people's opinions. I will think about it.
I won't.
Okay.
I'm totally kidding.
Well, once I feel like, oh, this person is
An idiot,
full of shit, as I said,
you can sniff that out
thing,
quickly.
Fine, I'll ignore them. But like the vitriol and the like threatening violence and threatening all that stuff is
crazy.
where my tolerance ends.
So check this out. So I do a segment where I'm talking about these trade deals.
Yeah.
And it was maybe a month or two ago. And I go on and I basically slam Sanders and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of hate mail that I got
I'm sure
was over the top.
Because both of those are have
sick, dopey people who are like, don't want to hear facts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is what the facts are. You know, you guys want to like make some crap up? Fine.
Right.
Go make up your crap. And you want your candidate wants to make up crap? Fine. That's great. I went on the air and said, hey, you know what? NAFTA wasn't a job killer. There were other things that were job killers, but NAFTA wasn't. And trade with China, people lost jobs. Technology, globalization, people lost jobs. Get it. But to blame it on one trade deal is insanity. Mm-hmm. I got such hate mail, and
how do you? But you're thick-skinned. You
I
don't
just
get
deleted
affected.
it.
Yeah, you don't get affected.
No, I do because
Yeah?
I think people are crazy, and I'm a little bit, and I'm a neurotic Jew, so I think they're going to come hunt me down.
You're a little skittish with that.
I'm more skittish with it than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
I really am because
it
affects me
Yeah.
because I cannot, because I am a rational human being.
Exactly.
And so there's something different between an opinion and a fact.
Right.
And I get very sick of people talking about like, this is your opinion. This dumbass wants to say, I'm not going to see Ghostbusters. Who gives a shit?
Right.
But if you're talking about like someone makes a statement that trade is bad, well, actually, it's not. Mm-hmm. And there are things about it that can be bad. And there are people who can be hurt. And then I can give you the facts and I laid out the case. But so then to have someone be just write the most disgusting crap is unbelievable. And I think they write disgusting crap about everyone, but I do think these trolls are insanely focused on women in the media.
Well, that's what this all plays into.
And so I get it. You know what? I get that like white middle class people are pissed off. I get it.
Yeah.
I get actually that all middle class people are pissed off, but the whites seem to be speaking up very violently. And I've been talking about income inequality for the last 15 years, so I understand it. But I hate simple solutions to complex problems. It drives me insane.
And that's what politics is. You need a 30-second soundbite. You can't go on for 5 minutes explaining what your idea is. And 5 minutes shouldn't be a lot of time, but it is.
Yeah.
I definitely am not someone who gets a lot of that kind of feedback, but I've had it. I think there is still, for whatever reason, this like misunderstood anonymity that the internet kind of provides but doesn't provide.
They don't understand. They can't understand that there's a person on the other end.
Right. So they're not like. I don't want to say all of them wouldn't say that to your face, but I think the majority of them would not.
Well, I'll tell you something.
I think a lot of people are insanely remorseful when they realize that this is a
100%.
actual person.
Yes.
Right. And it's not like a partisan person. You know, like
No.
I mean, I am partisan, but not about this.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about some other things. I'm happy to be partisan. And I've been critical. I was critical of Democratic administrations. I've been critical of Republican administrations. Like, I don't really have, when I talk about money, especially, it's very clear to me what facts are.
Yeah.
So that makes me slightly insane. But that said, it is a fascinating time to really see how much every group needs a scapegoat.
Right.
Everyone wants to
Yep.
blame somebody. In other words, instead of taking all that collective energy and say like, well, this does suck, let's figure out a solution. Let's instead point fingers, get pissed off, and do nothing except stew in our bile.
And that's kind of like with the Flint thing, right? Where like it's not about fixing it. It's just F everything else. We just have to find out whose fault this
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when we do find that out, everything will be okay
Right.
again.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Instead
why-
of like,
when did that become?
I
the
don't
answer?
know.
I think there's a human condition thing. Like you hear the idea of like if you're angry, you hit a pillow.
Right.
And like sending an email, like that email, they're not sending it to have a discourse. They're hitting a pillow.
Right.
It's
They
like
are-
their
yeah.
way to scratch the itch of like, I disagree with this person. I'm going to write a screed to them. And they don't even care that anyone reads it. I mean, they might in the background of their brain be like, oh, someone might read this. But the few times that I've responded to those people in email, like with a very calm demeanor,
It's always
they
apologetic.
are so apologetic.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I
I
did-
didn't realize that. Like,
I have had mostly good positive experiences. One time I invited a guy on my radio show and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just a disaster. It was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And he wrote a letter to the president of CBS
Oh, my
News about what a horrible person I was.
Yeah.
I'm sure that David read that.
Yeah.
So, the one place where I find it's much less vitriolic is on LinkedIn because it's a
Sure.
professional site. And, I know that people have fake profiles, but mostly people are using that because they want jobs and they're
Right.
not going to act like assholes.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So that's been a much more pleasant experience.
It is this sort of like weird safe haven, right?
Yeah, kind of, because, I'm not going to, whatever, like, I don't have people like comment on my own website.
Yeah.
My web person's like, you want us to do comments? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah,
no,
maybe
thank
not.
you. Like, I get far too many people who are telling me what color to wear and why my hair looks good or bad on a particular day. And they're not all my mother.
No,
They're
but
other people.
I'm telling you, Jill, every time Stacey's like, Jill looks amazing on
Love
TV.
her. She should have open comments.
And I'm
on
like,
my-
yeah. I'm like, yeah. No, it's
Just
like,
Stacy open.
she's like, something's
Just open it
different
up there.
about
My
she's
hair.
glowing. She's
It's
just-
my hair.
It's just your hair.
It's just my hair, and I'm not pregnant. Promise.
That would be interesting.
It would be impossible, indeed.
Okay. Now we know.
Yes.
And now we know.
So yeah, it's all about the hair. So anyway, I'm going to see Ghostbusters. I do like Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, she's very funny.
So like, here's the thing. I'm either way. Like, yeah, I want to see it. I love the notion of Ghostbusters, like that franchise I grew up with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to see whatever.
It's no
anyone
Trading
does.
Places.
That's
Of course
true.
not. I mean, look, Trading Places has a very special place in our collective hearts.
Yes.
We all understand
And
that.
and financially accurate. As I understand
Exactly.
it.
Pretty accurate.
Pretty
close.
spot on.
The crop report's out. Okay, sorry.
But wait, did you send me the thing where it's like try and explain the end of this film?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
I
it's
still
really interesting.
don't.
I'm close to it, but it's very complicated.
Anytime we could do a frame by frame and I could explain it to you. We could do
it's-
that.
That's fun. We'll do it as a
what's
special.
The funny thing about the end of that movie is like it is one of the funniest movies that is the plot is super simple.
Yeah.
Like the plot
Yep.
is not complicated at all.
Yep.
Then at the end of this film, Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy's characters attempt to pull off the most complex sort of like double backstab.
But you know
thing.
what? It's so great about it is that it's actually, because it was filmed, that was where I worked. That was
Yeah.
my first job on Wall Street, and I worked in that ring. So many of my friends are extras in that
Oh, that's
movie,
cool.
Really?
which
That's
is
very cool.
wild to watch.
That
it
is wild.
Yeah.
I like the fact that 5 minutes before the most complicated financial heist in movie history, someone gets essentially like attacked and raped by a gorilla.
Yeah, exactly.
That was love.
Yeah.
And it was consensual.
Guys.
What?
It was
It's like,
consensual.
huh? And all of a sudden that movie just ends like that, and everyone's like, I'm just gonna believe that
Okay.
because
I just saw Jamie Lee Curtis boobs. Yay!
Yeah.
Okay, move on.
that is not a bad part of that movie.
Yeah.
What happened to her? Where is she?
She's
doing
around.
Activa.
She still does
She
stuff.
she does like
Yeah.
fiber commercials.
Yeah,
like, oh, you want to
Activia.
poop better? Eat this fiber.
Activia.
Yeah.
She's married to Christopher Guest.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Right.
and apparently they're like really into cons. Like,
they go to a lot of
they go to
conventions.
conventions
Interesting.
with their kids who are into like geek
sweet.
stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
All
They
right.
dress up
very
like
nice.
Street Fighter characters and
Yeah.
stuff. I saw a couple photos
Wow.
of that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I want to bring up something a little different.
What does GTAV stand for?
You don't know?
I have no idea.
Think about it. It's a video game.
No, that you're done. I'm done.
That's
Let's
it.
move on.
You've heard, so
I've
like if
shut
you had
down
to
on
name,
that.
if you had to name a video game franchise,
I would say Leisure Suit Larry.
which is
Sure.
fine. You did
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
did.
Well
That
done.
was one.
So think-
Pong.
Pong, but like think about maybe
Right now,
something in the last
what is
20
the most
years.
popular?
Yeah, I don't know.
franchise
It's the
that.
Oh wait, time out. This is great. Hold on. This is the best game ever. Jill, name a modern video game franchise. You watch TV.
Isn't there a?
You've got three
Okay,
letters
right
to
now-
use
yeah,
as a clue.
and you have 3 letters. She's like
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Phew. Oh my God. It just came to me.
Well done.
But I don't even know anything beyond that. I have to be
That's
honest
fine.
with you.
Okay,
What's
fine.
another? Give me 2 more.
Halo.
you never heard.
I heard of Halo.
You've heard of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. So
Big-
that's it. I
big
thought they were
moneymakers.
movies.
I mean, there's more, but
Yeah.
there's more than 3 games.
No,
but-
that's it.
But yeah,
Actually, it.
there's a couple more. this is a great game. Because like I thought for 20 seconds, they were
Did you like that Pong?
I mean, you're not wrong. It's a 40-year-old game,
Sure.
but
It's the only game I really ever. Oh no, wait. Was there another one? There was another one, like a Pong-like game where you with blocks.
yeah, like Arknoid.
Tetris.
Tetris, a little bit.
Yeah,
I was so not into video games,
No.
except for Leisure Suit Larry, which we were
and-
compulsive about.
because
Yeah.
you're just a creep.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a creep. Anyway, Grand Theft Auto 5. The V is 5.
Oh, thank God! All right.
Yeah, it's
so
Roman numerals.
think about this, Miss Money. Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold 65 million copies.
Do you know what a game costs?
I don't know. Like, I have no idea.
Wait,
Actually,
wait.
I have no idea. $50, $100? I have
All
no
right,
idea.
you're right. You're kind of there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
$60.
60.
All right, so it's not so bad. That's
65
insanity. Globally.
million.
That's global, yeah.
Is it dispersed around the globe, or is the United States the majority?
It's pretty disparate. I think the U.S. is usually the majority, but it's
I think
generally
the UK
very
and Europe
Yeah,
have a split,
But-
probably. But
they have a portion of it, but a UK is not a
Who's
huge
the
amount
distributor of that game?
2K.
Okay.
of people. Yeah,
So you've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take Two Interactive.
So you're looking, let's, give or take like $3.5 billion in gross in that.
Pretty good.
Which is
Not bad.
for
Like what
one
we did at
game.
the upfronts.
Exactly. How
and you just
insane is
compare that to movies, like
Right. Oh my
Yeah.
It's
God.
not like
I mean,
they're
that's-
crowing about what did Civil War is up to probably 900 million.
Is
I
it
think.
really?
Yeah.
So it'll. I mean, it's not
Again, a movie ticket's $10.
Sure.
A game 60.
that's the other
Right.
thing.
Look at it
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But numbers like that.
Did you expect that? Had you
I don't
expected
think
that?
anybody
I
expected.
mean, we knew it was going to do gangbusters, but that's
But
crazy.
65 is like.
That's crazy.
When you have version 5, does that make versions 1 through 4 sell more? Or in other words,
No.
is
I
there,
think, like,
or
maybe
in other
4
words, do
sold
people
a
a little bit, but not a significant amount.
like really small spike. I wouldn't think it'd be significant.
is it great?
Yeah.
It is a very.
You love
I mean,
Very
the
good game.
But what's crazy is the game's almost 3 years old already.
What?
Yeah,
it's
so
come out on a few.
It came out in 2013, in the fall of 2013, and then the new consoles came out, and they made a new one. They updated the graphics for it.
Yeah.
Re-released it. Then it came out for PC, and it's been the last version came out in 14 was PC. And new gen?
I think for maybe late 14.
Yeah.
But
So it's
but that
just
is smart because essentially they made one game and they're getting multiple bites at the apple, which a lot of games don't.
Right.
So
Which
this
is not unlike Apple.
Exactly. Well done.
Thank you.
So yeah, that I figured that was something.
It is a staggering figure.
That's a pretty big number. That could be our number of the week.
65 million.
That's a good one.
That's the number of the week. You should.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah, why
You want me
not?
to send you the story?
That's amazing.
65 million of a game.
Wow.
That's
And
not
you're right.
wrong.
Multiple bites from the apple. I have 2 versions of it. I have it for 360 and PC.
Yeah, big deal. You get to write it off.
I know, but like that's not an
Would you have
uncommon
gotten
thing.
both versions
I think so.
if you had to pay
Yeah,
for it?
because the PC version lets you see the game from
Maybe.
a totally new graphical light. I mean, they really improved it.
And Joe,
Wow.
you should know that you can attempt to have sex with people in this game, just like Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, well, then I'm in.
So there you go.
There
I
it
haven't
is.
played a game. Whatever. It's just embarrassing. It's freaking embarrassing.
Jill, you're a problem solver.
Why not?
How do we fix the security lines at the airport?
I think we have to fingerprint everybody.
I'm totally fine with that.
I am too. I'm willing
Doesn't
to give
bother
up
me.
that. I think that it maybe if every single person were fingerprinted.
Well, you're gonna have privacy advocates up in arms.
I know.
over
There
that.
is actually something I just read this recently that your fingerprint is not considered an illegal search. Someone was saying that said the police could use your fingerprint to unlock your phone and it would be okay.
Really?
But they can't ask you for your password. It's like
That's
this
kind of
weird
interesting.
loophole in the.
Maybe you
is-
should not use your thumbprint to get on your phone.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like that is an absurd loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, because who would have ever
But
accounted
let's think
for
about
that?
this. So, like when I do global entry, right?
Right.
When
Do
I
you
was
do-
going back and forth to
Oh, yeah,
London
yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
I went down to Lower Manhattan,
Yeah.
and they do a full you went down. They give you like a security.
This is the pre-check thing. Yeah.
And
Which
it's
you
not
pay-
TSA pre, but it's global entry,
Right.
which
It's
is the
an
international one.
thing, yeah.
Which who
Gotcha.
cares? Like we're the only ones doing anything with the Israelis, so you can just
Yeah.
forget about it. Don't be traveling in Europe and feel safe.
Right.
All right, that's what I know. But they ask you a bunch of questions. They take your fingerprints. They run background on you through some database, and now you have this thing.
Yeah.
So now I come off the plane and I put my little thumbprint down and my fingers. And it comes up and it says, "Hello, Jill Schlesinger." It knows what flight I've been on. It says, "Do you have anything to declare?" No. Boom. Leave. I'm out of JFK in like 6 minutes.
I guess my
That's
only
awesome.
concern with it, it's not a privacy
I
concern.
mean, I'm just to be clear, I'm talking mostly about domestic stuff.
okay,
because-
but what,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like
Same-
security
same
lens is
model.
security
Same
lens,
model.
yeah.
would be if we go all fingerprint and I feel like that's something that you could potentially not easily fake, but fake.
Maybe if I cut your hand off.
No.
What am I, like a Russian
you can't,
mobster?
Like in the movies, they're always like lifting prints and then reusing the
and
print.
then if like a piece of latex.
Right.
I
but like
guess.
cutting a thumb off
What a
putting
great
it
idea.
in your pocket.
But like that's
If you're a terrorist,
if
like
we
why
become
not?
this biometric society,
Yeah.
like that will be a thing.
Yeah.
You would need
Cut your
multiple
thumbs.
points of failure.
So it would have to be like ring thumb.
Well, what else would be done? I mean,
Well,
also, I think
so-
that, by the way, the people who are checking security, have you taken a gander at some of these
Yeah,
folks?
they're not the best.
No,
Because
kind of
of course,
scary.
it's
a crappy job.
yeah, it's not
It's
a job. You
it
can't.
seems like
Maybe we
don't
can
need an
retrain all the
education.
guys who lost their jobs to women and Hispanics and Chinese people. And
what is insane to me, right, is like this has become a big story in the last 2 weeks because, oh my God, all of a sudden people realize like there's a 3-hour wait at Newark Airport if
Yeah.
you're traveling
yeah,
in
drive.
the afternoon.
Yeah, drive.
Right? So the last time I flew, when I went to Vegas, I get out of the car, I enter the terminal, and I'm faced with like the most chaotic, unorganized
Yeah,
disaster.
it's like
area.
Ellis Island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
circa
I felt like it was like
1914.
1812, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? What is happening here? No one has any answers.
No.
Everyone, like cattle, is just like
Horrible.
bottlenecking into a thing.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're dealing with bureaucracy in person. Generally, the only time you deal with it is on the phone or like on a website, maybe. Here you're seeing it. I mean, it's like the DMV en masse.
Can't there be like a logistics expert team that comes in and says, look, this is how we have to deal with the problem?
like per airport?
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be. But
mean-
is that a government job or is that an
Well,
airport job?
well, that's the thing.
I think it has to be a government job and we have to pay up for it.
Do you think the TSA should be privatized? Because that seems to be the most popular answer to how to fix.
I don't know
this.
why that, like, I guess maybe it should be. I don't know. I feel like that's a government responsibility. And
But they're private airlines.
they are. But
I'm just saying,
so the airlines are the client of the airport.
Right.
The
Yes.
airports are run by municipalities, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I think of it more as a government job. And I think there has to be like a uniform standard. And if we privatize it, it's going to be like this one does this one does this. I don't know.
I think the TSA has, for a cavalcade of reasons, lost respect from the American public.
Oh, probably because they've had a major fail.
Yeah, they've
You
had
know,
a
just
couple.
not so much about. I'm not talking about security things. I'm just saying, like in the process,
Right.
Right. It's like
Absolutely.
what DMV was 10 years
exactly.
ago.
But like maybe part of your military career is you spend a year.
I like that idea.
You spend a year doing airport
Yeah,
security.
that'll do great for the draftees.
I'm just saying, like, do you think a fully military employed TSA
Yeah.
would expedite?
I don't know if
The
they.
whole
I
thing?
think that they are. First of all, they're rule followers. That's their training. So I do like
Sure.
that.
They're intimidating.
definitely. So
I think there'd be a lot of people that would be like, I did not get into the army or whatever.
Yeah,
to
but
do
if it
this.
were like, okay, but wait a second. Let's say we're like a medical doctor,
Okay.
where the first year of whatever rotation you're doing sucks.
It's your residency.
It's your residency. It's like the
Sure.
first year of your residency. Like, tough luck. This is part of this is entry.
Okay.
Okay.
And I mean, make it a Homeland Security thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I don't know. I think that some of these times when I've gone through airports, it's scary what gets through. So
Yeah.
I've also, again, going back to the paranoid Jew thing, I get nervous around that. And, I guess there's this moment where you're seeing them like frisk an 82-year-old nun, and you're
Sure.
saying
In a
to yourself,
wheelchair.
right? Like, what are we doing here?
Right. Like,
And
how is this the
doesn't this
way?
be smarter? And also the idea around not having information. I don't know about you guys, but like when I go onto a subway platform now and there's no like when the next train is,
Oh, it drives me nuts.
insanity.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we have like a little bit more information
Right.
and how to navigate it, or like you need a Waze for an airport, like
Yes.
line 4 is actually faster. Get over there.
Yeah.
I mean, but like there's just it seems like just chaos.
But the government is not good at that sort of speedy logistics. Like,
No.
like that would not be a good
So
government
why
task.
can't someone just step in and be like, "Oh, let's go back to the drawing board on this entire thing"?
Right.
There's no way I should be herded like some sort of, like I said, cattle
Right.
through this maze.
And you don't even get to go on like Space Mountain at the end of it.
Right. It's like the shittiest ride ever.
Ever.
And then I get to the front and there's this TSA zombie guy who's
Yeah.
like, looks like he hasn't slept in 43 hours. He's waving people through, but he's just waving people into like a total sort of, gridlock situation behind him.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is not the answer.
I mean, a privatized company, the issues there potentially are
Of course,
they're
there's
incentivized to maybe get rid of the line faster.
Yeah, exactly.
So then less secure. I mean, not to say that TSA is adding that much security, but
It's
Yeah, but
something.
like then you lose the deal.
All
Like
right.
if then you
Yeah.
don't make money anymore.
You're into the privatization. I'm hearing it.
I just need something.
no,
gotta
but
change.
I think it's an
Or the
awful
military
idea
one.
for like prisons, for example.
I agree.
So like there, I think,
That's what I was exactly
Right.
thinking about. Like,
Totally.
well, it hasn't worked there, so I'm not sure it's going to work here.
like, would it be a good idea for schools? Like, there's like a lot of potential issues with bringing in for-profit companies because
Fine.
they cut corners in bad places.
I just want the right thing to happen. I don't care who does it.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you just figure out how to fly out of the cattle car, and then you can get an expedited journey. Do you know if you fly business or first, you get like that separate line?
I gotta do
And
that.
That's true.
So great.
Or just sign up for pre. It's $80, and then you're
But is
good.
it you don't get to skip?
You skip the whole
lot of it.
A lot
whole
of
thing?
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
gotta
'cause-
just do
and you don't
that.
have to take off your shoes.
I
You
just
don't have
gotta
to
do
take
that.
out
You
your
do it?
lap.
To me, but
No, but I
it's a
should. I don't
regret-
fly enough.
It's a
these
regressive
days.
tax, let's be honest. And so it's like, this is one of those moments where we're going to talk about something that's like, you know what, if you have money, it's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't have money, if you
you're
don't fly a lot-
traveling, I would say if you're traveling once a month, 100% worth it. If you're
yeah.
traveling twice a
I
year,
do
not
twice
worth
a
it.
year, 2-3 times
So
a
it's
year.
probably
Well, why
not
don't
worth
you
it.
get CBS to pay for you to go business class? Don't you have a bad back?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, my
yeah,
back's
right,
killing
my back.
me.
Oh, it is bad.
Yeah.
Ow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that hurt
Okay.
my neck.
And my doctor said I have a
Genius.
note.
Doctor's note.
I have a note now. Makes it official.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's funny. You're Dr. Bacalar.
Clear it up really easily.
When so when I was here last, I think that I had just been to Turkey.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yes.
what it was.
Yeah.
And I was probably the last American to safely travel throughout Turkey, which is because it's now crazy and
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
But when I was there and we were traveling, it was very interesting to watch the security. Not a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that to me, like flying around the world, has become a lot scarier. I know that can happen anywhere. It could
Sure.
happen here, God forbid. But there is this sense when you're flying abroad that there's just like a ton of people. There's less. There seems to be less security in those places. Again, unless you go to Israel, and even
And in London, certainly, as well. Or,
except that in London. So here's the problem with London. So I flew in and out of Heathrow a
Sure.
lot. It's just so many people.
Yeah.
How possibly they could keep track of everything is amazing to me. And people coming from really crazy places. So it's a nightmare to travel now. It really is. You know what? It makes you think like, I'll just stay in the U.S. In fact, I had lunch yesterday with a guy who he and his wife, like they're in their early 30s.
Yeah.
Thinking about like they want to go travel, but she's like, Zika virus. We're not
Yeah, that's a
traveling
thing,
abroad.
too. Yeah.
I had no idea that was. I'm like, what do you mean? So don't go to Brazil. He's like, it's like 5 minutes away from being in Europe. So you can't take the chance.
Yeah, it's going to be in the U.S. too.
It's here. It just hasn't been contracted here, I don't think, yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Another
people have come
reason for you
back.
to basically go get pregnant now.
No, it's,
Right this
no,
second.
you can't.
Because you don't know
'Cause you
if you're
don't know.
suffering from
I'm
it.
going to
until, like,
Italy in September.
Oh,
Yeah.
how nice.
Yeah, just
Ooh,
booked
fancy.
that.
Where are you going?
We're going to the Amalfi Coast.
Ooh.
Where are you staying? It's one of my favorite
I
places.
think we're doing Airbnbs.
But do you know what towns like Ravello, Capri,
Positano.
Positano?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you were Italian.
Oh no!
Got the pronunciation
I've got
down.
I've got the Italian.
Also, she's not moving her
spouse.
hands, so
What's
that
the-
doesn't count.
Yeah, and you're not like slurping on linguine. Or
Oh,
No,
okay.
and I'm not. Let me get my Negroni. Here it is.
What else? There's I think we're staying a couple nights in Naples.
Interesting. Supposed to have the best pizza in Italy.
All right, I'll
Just
be the judge
FYI,
of that.
I'm
Yeah.
just telling you.
So it's like Naples
I-
and Hoboken. It's like the best pizza.
pretty close.
Probably.
New
right?
York. Someone just said something to me about we were like talking about living in LA, and he's like, "Yeah, except the pizza sucks."
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of
obviously.
things suck in LA.
I mean, I think it's a fun city. I'm love to visit.
It's
there.
good in
Yeah, it's
moderation.
okay.
I like it better than San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if I feel that way.
I feel that way.
Well, you're very.
I think San Fran-
you love the gays.
Well, yeah, sure. I love gay people.
I
but
think LA is much more culturally interesting.
I agree
than
with
San
you
Francisco.
100%. Let me
Yes.
give you Julie Andrews high
Julie
five.
Andrews.
here's the deal. I agree with you on that front.
Yeah.
LA has much more diversity and sort of like
Yes.
style and that sort of thing, whereas San Francisco kind of feels,
feels like
a
a model.
silicon, stuffy.
It's like a model city.
Yeah.
That, like has a lot of homelessness.
I like the way. Yeah, San Francisco has a
Great,
awful,
great
homeless-
services.
Yeah.
But they,
What do you think about Kara Swisher running for mayor there?
I don't know.
Is that true?
It's a widely distributed, disseminated rumor.
What
How
do
about
you
that?
think
Because
about
she
that?
works for the same company I do at
Well,
present.
we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe not soon.
She's been talked about as a mayoral candidate.
What do you think?
I think she should take her glasses off if she's going to interview people. That's just my 2 cents. But she seems lovely. No.
All right, I guess we know how Jill feels.
Anyway, I don't know. I find that San Francisco is a little bit small for me. It's not like a real city, so it's a cool town.
Yeah.
It kind of shuts down at night too.
Yeah.
I
And
find.
there's no real arts community that is institutionalized. Like I know that there's like a subculture, and I have friends who are artists there, and they're going to yell at me for saying this.
Sure.
But it's like you go to museums in major cities, you expect to see a museum.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. And it's those tech guys. They're busy saving the world, making sure we're all connected, instead of shelling out checks to support the arts.
Yeah, they're not alive. They're not
Well, they're just
creating a
very focused on
vibrancy.
their one thing.
right.
And so you don't get a lot of diversity.
It's like hurry up and come to San Francisco and never leave the house.
well, never leave the office. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like never,
Yeah,
never
they're
leave
just
the
very,
office.
very focused on what they're doing.
So let me ask you another question.
All right, we got a couple minutes. What's up?
Doggy,
Yeah, what about it?
is he doing all right?
Yeah, he's great.
Because you haven't talked about him at all.
No, yeah, I feel bad for Marty. Marty kind of gets like the back seat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now.
of course.
he's
Now you have to have a
ignored.
baby.
His claim to fame is like when the baby goes to bed and I get my parents back.
I'm out.
You know, and then
Yeah.
and
He's
we've
the
noticed.
Late Late Show right now.
Yeah, seriously.
James Corden over there.
We've noticed like at bedtime he's gotten closer and closer to like becoming like the meat in the sandwich. between Stacey and me.
that's
Where
very
he's-
sweet.
Where he's like,
This is all I get.
Don't
This
forget
is right. I'm here.
about me.
I'm here.
He's kind of like
Does he sleep on the bed?
He does. He used to not, but then when winter comes, he's like, I got snuggle.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
winter time. Now that's getting a little warmer, he kind of like pieces out after a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But poor guy.
I do have one thing to say before we wrap the show.
What?
I feel like this is becoming a series of Russ Frushtick New York stories because I have quite a many. But it seems like these people just come to me.
Jill,
Do tell.
So Jill, Russ has had like maybe half a dozen just weird New
We
York
need a theme
things
song maybe just for this segment.
that happen to him. It's almost Curb-ish, but not.
Can you give me
totally.
a few highlights?
Well, last week I talked about the fact that this taxi driver pulled in front of this woman, leaned out the window, was like, "Hey, you look like my niece Dottie."
Just like weird stuff, just like typical stereotypes.
Like actually with not a foreign accent?
No, well, with like a heavy New York Italian accent.
Oh, but that's like impossible right there. That's like 25 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I was also like shocked. Like I had
It was
not seen
very surprisingly authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
like that.
So just 2 days ago, I've been having AC issues, air conditioning issues, and it's been fine because it's been cool in New York City, but obviously it's going to get very hot soon.
Wait, AC stuff in your apartment?
In my apartment.
Okay.
So my AC unit, it's like a
Because
wall.
he's Jewish and he has to have air conditioning.
Of course.
It's in the Torah.
I haven't
Well,
turned
it's gonna
mine
be
on
85
yet.
degrees in a minute.
I
Who
know.
knows?
I'm with you.
I can't
Must
sleep.
prepare.
So I'm working with my company. It's been like a major hassle to get this thing fixed. They finally, PC Richards comes and delivers like a giant box. The two Russian delivery guys are like, we're not putting that together.
Okay.
Would not do it.
Even though they're supposed to?
Even though
or-
I thought that they were supposed to, but they didn't.
All
so
right.
I called the management company that I rent my apartment from,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, we'll send guys over there first thing in the morning, 10:30, whatever.
Okay.
I'm waiting for them. They don't show up. It's like 11:15. They finally show up. They is not quite accurate because one guy shows up and he's about 110 years old. He is a very, very old man.
So he's older than water, and he's supposed to do your air conditioning.
And I knew he showed up because he was like in the hallway. There's only 2 apartments on my hallway. And he was standing in the hallway for 15 minutes, like staring at his phone, trying to figure out whether he was in the right spot.
Oh, God.
jeez.
Eventually, he knocks on the door.
Oh, shit.
I open it, and he's like, hey, air conditioning, like, where is it? And I lead him into the bedroom where it is.
Like,
And I'm like
sir.
looking at this guy, and he's not like, you know how you see those old guys that are like ripped? Like
Yeah.
they have like
Yeah.
totally
get in
amazing
their
body.
way.
No.
No.
He's built like me, but 110 years old. So like, this is a bad situation for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So he starts taking the old unit out, and there's like a shaking. The muscles are like
Are you like,
creaking.
oh my God, I got to help him.
Like,
He's going
this
to
is-
stroke out in my
This is a
apartment.
major problem. So I'm like, okay, I'm like coming in to help.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
He's like waving me away.
I think clearly you don't.
And I'm standing back, and I'm like, is this the end of his career? And he needs to prove that he can like hold it in, like with the young
Look at
guys.
Russ with the analysis.
I'm just like trying to understand. So like he's still doing it, and he's creaking, and it's like shaking to the floor, and I'm worried he's gonna like scrape the floor up or something like that.
Well,
So I-
don't worry if he's dying. He's on my floor.
He's dying. Secondary point. Well, with no air conditioning, the body's going to go like that.
Good
So,
point. You get a little smelly.
so I come in. I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to help this guy. So I take one side, and we slowly lower it in. And he's like, okay, so I'm good. The thing is out at this point. There's a giant hole in the wall, and he's ready to leave with my old air conditioning.
like, what are you doing,
And I'm
man?
like, well, we have to put this one in. He's like, oh,
don't know how to do
okay,
that.
right, exactly. So he's like, okay, I'll be right back. I need a hand truck. So he goes down. Why would we wouldn't bring a hand truck in the first place? It's an air conditioning.
It's 400
So he
pounds.
goes down, comes back. He's like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. Like totally discouraged about the fact he has to install this thing. And I'm like, literally this guy could die at any moment.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Or his back could break or something terrible could happen. So it's me and him, like, again, both weak gentlemen trying to lift this AC unit into this box hole situation. And it goes in, but like halfway, and there's like foam sticking out on the sides. And I'm like, you know what? I'll figure it out.
So what happened?
I mean, I like kind of jammed it. There's still like a little
It's
bit
like
of
jerry rigged it in
yeah,
there.
I like
No,
jerry
that's
because
not-
I
He's got
don't.
masking tape is holding his air
Oh,
conditioning
that's
in.
bad. Is it not secure?
I pushed on it a few times and it seems to not be moving
Oh,
anymore.
brother.
But like, who do you send? And also, like, I there was a half of me that was like going to email the management company and be like, hey, next time you do this, maybe send 2 guys. But then I'm thinking, like, is this guy going to get an email from his boss being like, you couldn't handle this situation on your own?
Oh, you didn't
He's
want
like,
to.
Larry, come on. This is strike 3.
Oh, my God.
Larry.
Oh my
So
God.
maybe that's like, again, paranoid. But it was, and now I know how to install a wall mounted air
I
conditioning.
guess you
unit.
do. Almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Half.
Don't walk under Russ's
very harrowing.
building.
So these are the
That's
tales.
a harrowing.
These are the tales he has.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Do you guys use Uber or not?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Have you used Via?
No. Is that another one?
What is that?
Oh
Are
my
you,
God.
Are you about to teach us?
I'm going to teach you something, Sensei. Listen to this.
Spell it.
VIA.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
easy.
It's ride sharing for real.
Oh,
You don't like that, Russ? You're such a snob. I'm the
depends.
snob in this crowd.
It depends. But
Okay.
let's hear more.
I'm so because I can't wait to hear this because
$5.
I'm kind of done with Uber.
I got pissed off at Uber because I had to take. I know surge pricing. I get it, right?
Sure.
But no, because when I look
It's
at the map
silly.
and there's 90 cars and it's still surging,
Exactly.
it's bullshit.
That's exactly
What is
right.
going on?
So I took a car and I went from the broadcast center, which is 57th between 10th and 11th, and I went downtown to Wall Street and it was $48.
Holy shit.
And I was like, no way.
Yeah,
That's
not
crazy.
So
good.
I'm walking the girls that afternoon. I'm talking to a friend of mine in the dog run, and I said, no, I was like, I was so pissed at Uber. And she goes, you got to use Via. I'm like, what's that? She goes, oh, it's ride sharing. She goes, now look, if you're going to be snobby, you got to share the car with other people. I'm like, I don't give a
How
crap.
many people are we talking about?
3 at the most.
So you'll never.
That's
be,
fine.
You'll,
At the
I
most.
don't want to sit between
That's
people.
what I've been experiencing
Okay.
with ride sharing. It's like I'm sitting in the middle.
No,
and there's
well,
like a
that hasn't
dude
been
on
my experience. Is 1 in the front
Okay.
and 2 in the back.
Totally fine with that.
Okay. Now, so I'm like, all right, I could get down with that. I mean, I take the bus, so I ride share
Sure.
quite often.
Totally.
So, she sends me a coupon or whatever. It's $5.
Yeah, I'm
No
looking
matter
at the
what.
website now.
It's $5.
No matter
I mean,
what.
No matter.
No
what.
matter what, until they want to make money, and then they might increase
Okay,
it.
but so I was, it's sort of like I did like a couple of trips where I didn't have to get somewhere in a hurry, and
Yeah.
but I wanted to make them far distances to see what it went like, what it was like.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I went from my apartment in the Upper West Side. I had to go to the UN.
Okay, that's a real hassle.
That's
all the
a
way
real
across town.
right crosstown, and like rush hour.
Yeah.
It was quite efficient. Because what they're doing is basically we're running. There's obviously the algorithm is flagging people that are en route to where your farthest
Uber does that,
right
though.
your farthest destination
The
is.
Uber pool.
Uber Pool
Right.
does that. Yeah.
And but it's $5, guys.
Right. That's
okay?
the big difference.
Then
And
you pay through the app. And you're
I
good?
pay through the app.
Tipping?
It's not bad.
0,
No tipping.
$5. I mean, just to put that in perspective, the bus is $275.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's
And
not like Russ said. It's not going to
Not
stay
going to
$5.
last.
It can't.
even if it's $10.
$10. Then that's a big.
$10
And
bucks
it's,
is-
what is it? To anywhere in Manhattan is for
Anywhere,
that?
well, I
oh,
think
I'm
so.
looking at the ranges. So 110th Street and south, I guess.
Yeah.
Of 110th Street.
Right.
is
So I'm not going up
included.
there anyway.
Yeah, no one's going up there. So that's.
Get some barbecue.
I'm just saying, like, there's just nothing up
But
there.
$5. Just try it.
Yeah,
Tell
I'm
me
gonna
what
try
you
it.
think.
I have to
I'll
go to
try
the
it.
broadcast center later. I'm gonna do that.
Do it.
I'm gonna do.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you should really just take the end of the R. Actually,
No,
don't you usually take the end of the R?
no, I
all the way
feel like
over. How do you
it's-
even get
Are you
there?
out of your mind? What are you doing?
Wait,
You
time out.
walk 3 avenues to get over to the.
Okay,
It's
all
a
right,
walk.
all right. Listen,
And I know, and Jill, it's getting warmer out.
Right.
I know you hate the hot,
I get,
but okay,
I get a little
but
sweaty, and then
you're
I
gonna go today?
Yeah, and they're like,
Please take the end of the R to
They're like,
57th
oh,
Street.
they're like, oh,
it's
Jeff.
3 blocks.
they're like Jeff,
3
you
avenues. Big
Yeah.
difference.
All right, but it's not like terrible. You get off at 8th Avenue. You can walk through. By the way, just want to say that the whole Columbus Circles. I'm sorry to go New York on
This
you,
is such an
but the
inside New York
Columbus Circle subway station has just improved vastly.
Why?
They made like an underground mall there. It used to be like 5 homeless people and a crack addict. Like, that was what was down there.
And now it's like a Radio Shack.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's all right. I always take the end of the R down here.
Maybe I should just do that. It's
just the
so
traffic
bad getting
sucks.
across.
I
Oh
know.
my god!
That's what I'm telling you.
All right, I'll
Just do
that.
it.
I'll do that.
You can do it.
I just
And
don't
if
like
the-
to sweat. I get in there, I'm all sweaty, and
Yeah,
they're like,
it's
Jeff, we
gross.
have to put makeup on you. Dry off first.
Yeah.
Oof.
They put me in
Use
front
a
of like some
towel.
fan.
You need a sweat
Who
towel.
have you been appearing with? Your boy Vlad?
Vlad, Josh Elliott. Yeah, my mom's in love with Josh Elliott. Jill's is doing hand motions.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Fantastic.
It's a lot of fun. So
Josh Elliott's one tall dude.
he's tall. He's got a great head of hair.
Yeah.
I like him.
All right.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
he's all buttoned up. He's it's fun going on there. I did Game of Thrones recaps with him this week.
Did you really?
Yeah, he's like a
There's a show I don't watch.
He's a diehard Game of Thrones guy to the point where like we went off the air and he was like ripping into that show.
Really?
He's like, this show is a mockery.
You actually predicted
Really?
a thing about Game of Thrones recently.
Yeah.
With the fire stuff.
Yeah, but that wasn't. I don't think that was like super heady. I
No,
think that
it
was
was
kind of
not.
low hanging fruit.
It was.
You should watch it. It's good.
No, I can't. It's too violent.
It is very
I
violent.
can't do. And
Very
it's the one thing. It's the one thing I can't take.
if my mom can handle Game of Thrones,
Your mother's tougher than I am. That's widely known.
all right.
Yeah.
It is known.
It's known in
Game
circles.
of Thrones reference.
What is your three? What are your three favorite shows right now that are like top of mind?
Game of Thrones, Archer. Archer's in another season. I really like.
I like Better
that.
Call Saul.
I
don't watch
loved
that,
Better Call Saul. Great
I
second
haven't
season.
finished the second season yet. I'm in the
I
middle of the
liked
second
it
season.
very much.
But yeah, very cool.
I don't know if I have a number 3.
Fargo. Did we say Fargo?
Fargo, but it's not on.
Not
right
on
Right.
now.
That was second season better than first.
I think they're both.
I think the
excellent.
first season's better, but they're both excellent.
Is that on Netflix?
Yes.
I
yeah.
can binge that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should.
just
I would
go
watch
to town.
I would watch them in order.
yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people, because one takes place before. Watch them in order.
Watch them.
All right.
Season
Better
one,
than the
season
movie?
No.
No, but the movie.
It's a
But here's what about Fargo, the show. Mm-hmm. The show, in my opinion, does such a brilliant job at honoring the being of Fargo.
Yes.
Of
Oh, that's
what
cool.
Fargo
Very true to
is.
Fargo.
Yeah.
You won't go wrong. You'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, yes, this is exactly right.
Can't say I agree with that piece of police work.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you another question. You don't watch The Americans? It's like my
No.
favorite show.
I know about it.
Love.
You and 6
Oh
other
my
people.
God.
Really like that show.
Oh, I
well,
might
that-
have thanked the dozens of other fans.
Well,
who
that's the
watch.
thing. Nobody watches The Americans, but FX keeps it because they know it's good.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm serious. It's good. I've been
know.
watching these like esoteric British series on Netflix that I binge watch.
Like what?
The barrister and the capitalist.
It's like that's us, Jackie and me. No, like
Brown.
Happy Valley, which is a little bit intense.
know what that
There's.
Oh, I've seen the. promo
Did you
for
watch
that.
Broadchurch, the original Broadchurch?
I don't know what.
Yeah, that's a crime with David
Oh my
Tennant.
God, it's
Yeah.
so good.
Wow, so that's what you've been doing this
You
whole
should watch
time.
Jessica Jones if you like David Tennant.
I like Jessica Jones. It's also a tiny bit violent
Okay.
for me. I
It is pretty violent.
I watch like
You watch Sons of Anarchy?
I know, but
That's an ultra violent
is.
show.
it is. It's true. What happened to him in that? Like, didn't he do another show that failed?
Kurt Sutter did the Bastard
Oh yeah,
Execution
no
Yeah.
one cared.
that
Horrifying.
nobody watched.
You know what? I give him a pass.
Oh, for sure. He wrote that Southpaw movie that no one liked.
Yeah,
I think
He'll
I'm
be
not
back.
saying I'm not saying he won't be back, but we got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you? Do you guys watch Veep?
I do. I
I
really
catch
like
it every now and
Laugh
then.
I like
out loud
Veep.
funny.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's really great.
She is so
you know
funny.
what? I happen to like Silicon Valley too.
I really like Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
You are in Silicon Valley. I think you're on it.
Well, that
he's
was the
Richard.
thing is when I was working for a startup, it was
That's
like
him.
uncanny.
Yeah.
How spot on.
Well, what's crazy is all the Google stuff that happened this year,
Yeah.
this week rather. They had their I/O conference, which we did not cover as a tech podcast, but that's fine.
Should you?
They the beginning of it was like so typical Silicon Valley, like Hooli
right.
stuff. It was
We're making the world a better place.
and it was just like two bozos playing the harp in like
and
suspense.
it's like a speaker that knows when you want to order shampoo.
yeah, it's just it's kind of silly. It's just,
Right.
I don't even know anymore.
You
Like,
don't.
I don't know anymore.
You don't.
And that's why, the world of tech is like this fascinating and simultaneously depressing.
Yeah.
But that's like everything. It's like, look at Wall Street. Like we went through our boom and bust. And when I was
Right.
growing up on Wall Street, it was disgusting and fascinating. And it was a subculture and people were horrible. And they still are. Thank you very much. But you know how I've had like my new metaphor that I like to describe the whole idea of banking in Wall Street is that I said it's like having a relative that you really love but who is a horrible drunk. And that sometimes when he or she gets really drunk just behaves terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like sort of fun up until the point they get to that place, but when they get to that place very bad.
Right.
So I still love the industry. It's just there's some
You
really
just know
big-
there's some dark spots
there's
there.
some pretty majorly dark spots.
Yeah.
So before we go, what do you have like something you're really hot on these days that you're like covering on your show or
I've fallen in love with somebody, so I'm gonna.
who's that?
And it's going to be next week's show. It's going to be a first ever on the Jill and Money show.
Whoa.
Who'd you fall in love
I know I
with?
had to disclose it to Jackie.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's
I
another
fell in love with a
person.
man.
She's back.
Back on the other side. So I was listening to a podcast. I had read this guy's work. He's a very good writer. His name is James Altucher.
Okay.
And he was actually sort of a tech entrepreneur, bought and sold, created and then sold some companies. But he had done a podcast that's called the James Altucher Show. And I was listening to it. when I was like on an Earth Day cleanup or something, and I was just struck. I just really adored him, and he was talking about minimalism. He like basically got rid of everything in his life.
So he's like a Buddhist kind of dude?
Yeah, but not.
Okay.
Because he's like a capitalist, but he may be a
Right.
Buddhist capitalist.
Sure.
So I was like, wow, this guy's so authentic. He's so cool. Like he's a great, like, I just loved the way he was talking.
Yeah.
So there I am on the beach cleaning up. End of the podcast. I tweet at Jay Altucher, your minimalist podcast blew me away. Would you ever be on my show? Day
He's like,
later,
Yeah.
writes, direct message me. Sure.
Rock and roll. Let's do this.
Fantastic.
Comes on the show. Like I did something I've never done before. I gave him the entire show. I did an
nice.
interview with him for the
Cool.
entire show. So a 2-hour terrestrial radio
Wow.
show, which
Yeah.
boils down to 1:15, right, in the podcast.
Sure.
Memorial Day special this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
And no, next weekend. And I'm so psyched because I loved him. It
Oh,
was
that's
such
cool.
a
I gotta
great,
listen to that.
Such a great interview. And so that's going to be Memorial Day weekend on the Jill and Money Show.
That's awesome.
Rock and roll.
So that's what I really that got me psyched.
So how can people check that out if like they don't catch you in their area? Like,
What they should do is they should subscribe to the Jill on Money podcast,
and that's just the whole radio show spit out into a podcast.
except no commercials,
Right.
Which is kind of
That's
fab.
great.
Kind of screwed my terrestrial partners, didn't
Right.
I?
A little bit.
No, I
But
mean,
that's
like-
You know
okay.
what? Who's listening? You know what?
That's the future.
And not only that, but honestly, like one program director's like, I don't like when you put the podcast up early. I'm like, oh, because you think your people are going to download
Right.
the
It's
podcast
ridiculous.
versus listen to it?
It's not. That's the thing. Like, it's one thing if you were doing it. So wait, you're saying you release the podcast before it goes on the air?
Shh, sometimes.
All right, I could understand maybe a little.
But it goes
bit.
out on the system. Here's the thing.
Right.
The syndication company puts it out on the system on Thursday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That means that they could air it starting Friday at 12:01 a.m.
Sure.
Right.
So I put it out Friday morning usually or
All
Friday
right.
afternoon. But subscribe to it and it's fun. And I'm trying to I'm pitching this other thing. I might do a whole separate podcast.
Oh, cool.
I got things rocking and rolling
Cool.
here. I've been and then after I fell in love with this guy, I'm like, I want to interview you because I've been doing video for LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I did a video on LinkedIn that went viral. It was hysterical. I've never had anything like this happen. I do a video and I interviewed this woman, very interesting, and I put a blog post together. We embed the video, and I said, "Is college worth it?"
Oh, nice.
285,000 views
Yeah,
on
that sounds
LinkedIn.
great.
It was
Yeah.
intense.
It's a great headline. It's a great capture.
Yeah.
You know me. I could be writing page 6.
So what was like the takeaway?
The takeaway is that college is worth it, but it is not worth it to go into debt to get
Right.
your college
Right.
degree.
And that's something you've been preaching for a while.
And but not only that, there are certain people who really don't need to go to college,
Right.
and they do need to get really awesome trade training.
Sure.
And there is some thought that talk about public-private partnerships that there could be a really interesting way for companies to basically say, you know what? We don't need you to go to 4 years of stupid liberal arts education, drink your ass off, and join a fraternity.
Right.
What we need is to train you for 18 months to code our stuff.
Right.
And we can do that.
Sure.
Like I always thought, like there's certain sort of practice, like even like IT, right, where it's like, well, that's not. You don't need like it was even stuff we do. Like I don't
Right.
thi-
You
Yeah.
can teach people
Yeah.
to do a lot. The question is what you're getting. You're getting more than that when you get a liberal arts education, but you got to pay for it. And like,
Right.
is it really worth it for a family to blow through their entire retirement
Right,
savings?
150 grand.
It's stupid,
Yeah.
right?
Not to mention the fact you can get a liberal arts education at a state school.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to go to a private school and get and once you get that first job, the value of your undergraduate degree is basically nothing.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So
Do you think we can we teach coding in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, in
You can
high
teach it
school,
In
you can
grade
teach it
school.
in elementary
Grade school,
school.
Why
easily.
shouldn't
You can
that be
teach-
part of our curriculum?
You
I
can
think it will
teach-
be.
It should be.
It needs to
a
be.
lot of things
Yeah.
should be like understanding banking, like basic banking stuff.
Personal
Should be-
finance.
Right, personal finance, yeah.
Teach that in middle school.
I did a
Coding,
little bit of it, but yeah.
personal finance. What else do we
The
need?
coding stuff,
Cooking.
The
I'm just
coding
kidding.
stuff is all logic based. So like that to me is like right in there with like basic math.
Yeah, and it fills in with algebra and
Yeah,
all that
like
stuff.
that.
You know what
stuff.
drives me nuts? Well, let me do one little pet peeve.
Yeah.
Especially just talking about women. I hate when women say to me, I'm not good at math. I don't even understand what that means. Like you can't add and subtract. Like
What-
that's
yeah,
the most that
well,
you need
that-
of math in most of your life.
That should be the follow up. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like, do you not get numbers?
I think
or
there
like-
are people that like when you I think their heads get a little bit fuzzy when you see like a bunch of numbers on a page and you're trying to make conclusions about those numbers. So it's not so much the math that they have problems with, it's the logistical jump that you have to make using the math that's in front of them.
I mean, I get it.
Maybe.
Like, I'm not
I
the
think
best like percentage person, like percents. They don't. Nah, I'm okay with them actually. I don't know. I
feel like
understand.
statistics.
it just drives me a little bit nutty, especially like I feel like that's not like a rational thing.
It's a knee-jerk
It is.
excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really want more women to go into finance and engineering and tech because I think that would go a long way in closing the wage gap. Because
I think it's happening.
not
the wage gap. I'm saying I think there are more.
There are more, but the ratio
so
is still
small.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
I mean,
How do you fix that?
I'm just first of all, we have to like stop letting kids opt out of shit. We just have to. That's silly. A friend of mine who is a engineer, born in China, raised in the United States. She's like, you guys need to be like way more Tiger Mom about this. Like, get those kids in and just like, okay, it's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but like get through it. Like
Right.
that's part of your education. You have to get through certain things and have a greater familiarity. And they have to be more role models. And we really have to get people to see that and to see, and also like I do this all the time for the CFP board, Certified Financial Planning Board of Standards. I go out and I say, you know what? It's a great job. If you like, oh, I don't want to be an investment banker. It's a bad job for a mom. You know what? Financial planner is a fantastic job for a mom. Fantastic. And there are a lot of jobs where, you know what? If you can do like 3 days from home and 1 day in the office, that's a good job for a mom.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. It's one of those, I'm a feminist with a large F.
Yeah, I understand. We just need a lot more Jill Schlesingers.
No.
Amen. Amen
Right?
to
A
that.
lot more role models like that. That'd be nice.
What we will not wait so long. What's going to happen for you this afternoon?
This afternoon, I'm going to put the show up, and then I'm going to start to work with the CBSM people on what Vlad and I are going to do this evening.
Do you have an idea?
No, we're trying out some new stuff, like a more laid back week in recap sort of situation. That I've been working with the EP over there on.
Okay.
Trying to make something work there. Because Vlad and I love doing stuff together, so we're trying.
Good. I was on with him on Monday talking about Berkshire Hathaway's investment into Apple.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
Is that
Apple's become a value company, not a growth company.
That's what did they do? They invested
$1 billion.
which is like crazy, right?
It's a pretty nice number.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just shows you how undervalued they believe the company is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you don't.
I don't know. I go back and forth with Apple. I feel like they really have to start. I don't think their momentum is what it used to be.
No.
Yeah, especially on the consumer side.
Yeah,
So
like
they
they-
need some sort of industry put, like
They kind of
just
stop.
B2B or whatever
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
that's going to make them more money.
They kind of stop blowing people's minds with products, which I get. Like you can't maintain that indefinitely,
Right.
but that's the reality of it all.
I know, but
and
that's the expectation. That's
Right.
the hard part.
Yeah.
Right? How do you shift that expectation?
Exactly.
I guess I'll tell you what, you could help shift my expectation, Mr.
What?
Cook. Pay me a crap load in dividends and spend some of that cash.
Yeah.
I think they're going to spend a lot of cash doing acquisitions. And I
Well,
think
didn't they-
that innovation is going to be, they're going to buy innovation.
Yeah.
They're going to take a little bit out of the page of Facebook. Like, you know
Sure,
what?
Google
we
as
don't
well,
have to
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
we can
We
just
can
buy
buy it.
Oculus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
know?
I think you're
Yeah.
right.
They have
That's
$200 billion
They
sitting
invested
offshore.
in that Chinese Uber company, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. Where do we find you, Jill? At Jill on Money on Twitter.
This has been so much fun. I can't believe how much. It's
I
like being
know.
with Julie Andrews.
Just like it.
At Twitter, at Jill on Money.
Right.
JillOnMoney.com is my website.
And,
Download the show.
download
Jill
the
on
show,
Money. Oddly
subscribe.
enough, it's called Jill on Money.
Subscribe to the podcast and all that stuff. What's going on with you, Russ?
You can check out some videos, polygon.com, or go to YouTube, youtube.com/polygon. There's a bunch of videos.
and every time you stream a game, you put that
on Facebook Live
on Facebook
and
Live and Twitter. You tweet about it.
Twitter, and I'm that's on at Russ Frushtick, and then I'm reviewing Overwatch. So if you want to,
Oh, you are? I'm liking it.
yeah, it's cool.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Video games.
Oh, all right. You know what? This is the thing. This is a problem with innovation in this country. Do you want to know? I will end on this.
How are you going to spin it around games?
There's too many people putting out games instead of figuring out big problems like how to make the line shorter at the airport. Let's redirect. Look at this like brain trust.
What are you
You're
gonna,
two
what are you gonna
brilliant
do
men.
on the line at the airport if not play games?
I don't know.
I understand what you're saying.
But like you guys, like someone like me, it's like thinking about Wall Street. Like, is this really the best we can do? Like, oh, we're going to create some esoteric products so people can get richer. No, we want to figure out like a better way so People can refinance their student loans, right?
Right.
You know, like I'd like
Sure.
innovation to be
I understand,
thrust
but
in
then,
the.
but then let's take away all your TV shows. Let's
Right.
take away all your movies.
What
take
do
away
you
all
do
your
to
music. Like,
unwind, relax? For a lot of people, it's not TV or music.
Yeah, I
it's
guess
video
it's the
games.
same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And in
You're
fact,
right. All right, I'm convinced of
this is
that.
and it's more popular. It's
Yeah.
the
It
most
is
popular.
obviously 65 million.
So yeah, but yeah, you get it now, right?
Yeah,
Just on board.
I just
All
won't
right.
play it.
That was quick.
Not playing.
All right.
Not playing at all. Can't even play the stupid game on my phone anymore. I get too tired. I'm like, ugh, I can't see it.
Enough.
Can't
Oh,
see it.
Jill.
Enough of you
starting to
Angry
sound-
Birds.
I ain't never
Jill.
played Angry Birds in my whole life.
Starting to sound.
Old.
I didn't say it. You did.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm very big into podcasting.
Okay. It's a
that's
big deal.
That's where I spend.
Podcasts are a big deal.
Yeah, they are.
So then we should get rid of those too, because they're not doing
Yeah,
anything.
they're not helping the world.
productive.
They might be though. Ideas, spreading ideas, connecting
Sure,
people.
Sure.
Games do that.
Still want like
What's the idea behind
I
Grand
connect
Auto?
people by shooting them in the head and Call of
There
Duty.
you go. All right.
Piece of cake.
right.
I love you both. I've
we love
really
you too.
tried. I've basically decided that although I fell in love with you first,
Yeah.
I'm bringing Russ along for the ride.
Yeah, threesome.
He deserves
action.
it. He
Yes,
deserves
nice.
it.
Love it.
By the way, we need some diversity on this show. I'm the girl and I do the gay thing, but what else you got?
Well, we bring in. Let's see.
You got some ringers?
Yeah, we got
Get some diversity
Justin
ringers?
comes
Comes
back
on,
every
yeah.
now and then.
Not counting. Same thing as Jewish.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. This is a tough time slot to fill.
Yeah.
People are not
It's a
super
busy-
psyched about Friday afternoon.
Right.
You know what I want to do? I got to bring this guy down here who you'd like. He started a company which is basically a social investment company, basically where you share your ideas about investing
Right.
through an app. And instead of saying I'm going to compare myself to the S&P 500, you compare yourself to your peer group.
And who has the best portfolio sort of thing?
That's
pretty
interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
Gamify that.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Video
I'll bring
games.
him on for you.
All right. That'd be rad.
He's Canadian, though, so don't hold it against him.
Nobody's perfect.
No, it's a diversity.
Thanks so much for being here again.
So great to
All
be
right.
here.
You'll be back before the end of the summer.
Absolutely.
All right. That's a deal. 866-404-CNET. Shoot us a voicemail, the44@cnet.com. We're back next week. Yes, we will have a show next week. That's the holiday weekend. Until then, we'll see you next time. I'm Jeff Bacalard.
I'm Russ Frushtick.
Oh, man, chill.
So great to have you back.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.